Welcome, and we are live once again. If you're listening to us on your podcast or watching us on YouTube, welcome, welcome, welcome. And you may have been tuning in or watching and listening to these amazing 10-minute interviews where people that I know in the Modern Mystery School are telling the real journey of what it's like to be a mystery school student and teacher. So today I'm joined by the lovely Dawn. How are you, Dawn?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for people to hear your story. Now, I was wondering, we only have 10-ish minutes. Would it be possible for you to explain what life was like before mystery school, what then kind of classes you took, or what sessions you had, and then what life is like now? Would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to
Fantastic.
share. Great. Well, Kate, before the Modern Mystery School, I was actually on the verge of a nervous breakdown. So, if I rewind about 7 years ago, I had created this life that was the life that I thought I was supposed to create based on what society told me was going to bring happiness, which was I had a great job, I had, great education, I was married, I had a beautiful house. I didn't really want for any material things. And yet I was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. And so I started seeking answers. I finally had a wake up call like, no, there isn't a next material thing that's going to bring you joy. It's something else that you haven't found yet. And so I started looking, down a spiritual path. And I had actually been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. And I had been in therapy for a long time. I was on medication. And, I got some modest relief from that. But my daily life was basically my mind was filled with all kinds of worries. I was afraid of simple things. Like I was afraid to drive, for example. So my ex-husband would drive me most places. And I would have panic attacks often if I drove, like on the highway or over bridges. So that was like my life was really small because I was always afraid. And so I didn't have a lot of friends. Because I was afraid of exposing myself. I was really embarrassed about the fact that I wasn't what I considered to be like a fully functioning person. And at work, I was very high performing. But after that, beyond that, I wasn't really capable of a lot of things, normal things in life. Yeah, so I got to that moment where I was at the verge of a breakdown, and I just said, there's got to be something else, And so I started seeking, a spiritual path. And I did a couple things before I found the mystery school, which I would say opened me up to the possibility of the Modern Mystery School and got me prepared. But eventually with those things, I reached a plateau where it's like, there's got to be more, And so that was my call to God and the universe was like, what else is there? And that's when I met my guide, my future guide at that time with the Modern Mystery School, Carla Clark. And I met her at a potluck that I somehow knew I was supposed to be at.
Okay.
Yes. And she sat across from me and she started talking to me about magic. And I was like, who is this woman? But she was talking about magic in a way that was about healing and rediscovering yourself and shedding things that were not me. And I was like, I need this. Like what she's talking about sounds a little bit crazy. And it was definitely outside of my comfort zone, outside of my awareness at that time. But my soul was like, she's telling the truth and you need to know her,
Mm-hmm.
And so I got my life activation and things started to shift. I started to bring friends into my life. I started to open up. And I started looking at my foundation. I didn't have this vocabulary at the time, but in Kabbalistic terms, I looked at my foundation and I said, my whole foundation needs to be rebuilt, So eventually I, quit my job. I got divorced, sold my house, and I started rebuilding my foundation. I had a whole lot more people in my life, a lot of more friends. And then I did Empower Thyself and Initiation. And it was one of those things where, again, I didn't really know I was there. I just felt called to be there. I didn't know what it was about. But something really miraculous happened. And it is a true miracle. I don't have another word for it other than miracle, which is immediately after my initiation, I no longer had generalized anxiety disorder.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah. I never expected it. I thought it was just something I was going to have to cope with for the rest of my life. But when you go from having all of these perpetual thoughts of fear and worry, and they honestly never really stopped, and then all of a sudden after initiation, silence, and peace. And I'd never experienced it before.
Wow.
So I was like, wow, that was a true miracle. And I believe, whatever happened to me in that initiation was real and powerful, and I want to know more.
My goodness, that is just one of the most moving, stories to have that piece.
Mhm.
My
Mhm.
goodness, that really touched, me
Thank you.
there. And I was like, oh my goodness, yes. And I know from, we know each other, and I know that you were extremely successful lady in your, in your, career.
Yes, I was.
So and now still am, but you've transferred. So what does your life look like now? Because obviously, you have this piece, and what have you been able to do with it? How does your daily life look like
Yeah.
now?
Well, and yeah, now it's pretty different. Now I was able to heal myself enough that I was able to awaken to my own purpose, which was to help others with their healing. And that's part of why I want to share the story, because I know there's so many people out there suffering with anxiety disorder or other, mental illnesses or other blockages that are preventing them from living their purpose, and I needed to overcome that in order to live my purpose, which is service, and so, since then I've become a healer, life activation practitioner, and I have my own practice in San Diego, California, where I assist others, with their spiritual development. So, I see clients, and I'm also a teacher. So I teach classes like sacred geometry and astral travel. And so that's a big part of my focus right now is really helping other people to find this path and to open up to their purpose and their healing. And, maybe they don't have anxiety disorder, but maybe there is, other things that they're supposed to be working on and overcoming that this path will assist them with, so I'm very passionate about that. And I still do the kind of work that I did before. I found the Modern Mystery School, but I have my own business now. I consult, and I have so much more flexibility in my schedule, and like I call the shots, because I'm a consultant, and so I don't have that like 9 to 5 kind of go to the cubicle kind of life anymore. I have a lot more flexibility, a lot more freedom. And my life is in some ways you might look at it and say, well, gosh, you don't have that giant house anymore. Now you live in a modest condo. But, so my material life doesn't look quite as grand, but my internal life is so different. And I'm so much more fulfilled. I have people in my life who are friends, and I have a social life, and I just feel joy from within. I go out and I have experiences. I travel. These are things that I was too afraid to do. I didn't travel a lot by myself. I didn't go out in nature. I stayed home all the time, and now I'm out in the world experiencing it, and bringing joy to myself and to others, being able to share that, right?
It's so powerful because what I'm hearing is that you are still, because I think people have this misconception when they, think about, it's studying in a mystery school, that you have to drop everything and
Oh,
everything has to
yeah.
be, it's like, okay, and then you have to do this X, Y, Z. But what I, have heard again and again and again is that people that come and they walk the path, they create a life that is on their terms. Yes, they are serving and they're helping people, which is bringing them joy, but many are still in law or in consultancy, or in all of these different areas and arenas in the world, because that's where we're going to we're still connected to the world, and we're still
Mhm.
living life.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing from you is that your life is so much more now fulfilled and
Yes.
joyous.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Definitely. Absolutely. And yes, I still do the same kind of work, like I said, but I do a lot less, to be honest with you. I probably work half of the amount of time that I used to work, and make a little bit less, but not dramatically less. I still have a very nice, comfortable life, and I'm able to do all the things that I want to do. I don't really want for anything. you
Ah,
know? And so the fact that I can have that and have happiness and peace and joy and help others, I couldn't have honestly imagined it 7
yeah.
years ago. You know, I couldn't have. There's no way I could have imagined it. And now I'm living a life that is just, yeah, my kind of, it's my dream. You know, I'm continuing to work at my dream and make it even bigger, right? And that's what we learn in the school, is that there's no ceiling, right, to how much joy you can create, or how much you can serve, or how much you can grow, how much you can heal. So I'm still a work in progress, but the amount of progress that I've been able to make with this school, with these tools, with these teachings, is far beyond what I was able to accomplish, you know, in a lifetime before I found the school.
Thank you so much. I think, you know, when you just hit the nail on the head, and I was going to say, you're actually living your dream.
Yeah.
It's like, it's fantastic. And as you said, you know, the dream will get bigger
Yeah.
and change. And
Yeah.
that's fantastic as well. So I would love to have you back on, you know, because I know there's much more to the story. So maybe we can reschedule and you know, and get that in, because I think you know, there's so much that we can delve into, especially with, you know, a lot of people out there feel like if you're suffering from some kind of mental health issue or challenge, then you're not, you know, you're not functioning in the world. But that's actually not true. You know, people function in their careers, or, you know, quite well, and then it's the other areas that suffer. So
Yeah,
perhaps,
because that's exactly how it was for me. And my therapist even said, "I'm surprised at how successful you are in your job." And that was because that was the only place I channeled my energy. I didn't have a good personal life. I didn't have, you know, joy. I just channeled all the limited energy that I had, because so much of my energy was drained by anxiety disorder. I channeled it all into my work, you know, and so my personal life suffered a lot as a result. And now I'm able to have everything. You know, I'm not a limited person. I realize that I'm unlimited, and I'm able to, you know, expand into many capacities of life.
that's amazing. I know that's going to be such an inspiration for people to hear that. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we will see you all again very soon. Take care for now.